Yeah. 44. And Mark is not here
37
yet. Yeah,
seconds.
right. I don't look right. And Mark is not here yet, so Jennifer suggested we talk about the other stuff, which is what we want to suggest to city council about how we would change the ordinance so that we have input into more destination development things.
Yeah, so next on the agenda, we have the review of the midterms. Do you want to do
Oh,
that
sorry.
first, or do you want to do the review? Because we can do either way.
Honestly, yeah, we probably should review the terms. Yeah. I'm so nervous about the city council stuff because I really don't, I feel like I don't understand what they want us to do. But I'm not a bureaucracy person, and that's
Right.
what this is.
Well,
And so,
and this is really just you guys, if you know what direction you want to take it, we just need to make the chart, make our code match the direction you want to go.
right,
So that it's really kind of, Tom, sorry, had some suggestions, and we just kind of, if you guys want to talk about art, if you want to oversee this, if you want to oversee that, we just have to propose to council and say, these are the things we want to be oversightful of. And if they say yes, we give them, well, we say, these are the things we want to oversight or give recommendations on. We propose some language and they say yes or no, or tweak it a little bit. They change the ordinance, and then you guys are able to proceed with that.
so that is the priorities, but at the even higher than that is like, if we are going to suggest destination development things, it feels like we need to be able to say, we probably need to have maybe a monthly quick meeting that goes on official record so that if some citizen wants to come,
Yep, so that
would one change.
right, that would be in your ordinance, because the way,
Right.
that's how all the other committees are set up. You guys would basically say, these are the things we want to be oversightful of.
Right.
And then in your ordinance, it would say, we're gonna meet once a month, the third, whatever, or you don't even have to be that specific, but
Right.
you'll have monthly set meetings that are public meetings. That's all, because when you look at the code, it's kind of, it lays out the sections. Those are the things we need to update.
Okay, so then my question is, if we're gonna have a monthly meeting, which is different than what we've done, let me see if that's Greg.
Okay.
Sorry, running late. There in 5 minutes. Okay, I told him he could park in my parking lot if he was looking for stuff. Anyway, so we will have a monthly meeting. Now, Jennifer, I know, again, I don't know how this works. If somebody wants to come and suggest something to us, do they have to sign up in advance to do that?
No,
So we would have a meeting. If nobody shows up, we cancel the meeting and go home.
well, you're gonna have a meeting, but you're gonna have other things you're gonna be talking about, because if you're gonna be an oversight of multiple things, there's gonna be things that, like, let's say you guys are gonna oversight 4 different items. We're gonna just
Okay.
throw this out there. That means every month you would have a meeting on those 4 different items.
Got it?
If you don't have anything, any updates or anything to discuss, we won't have a meeting.
Okay, gotcha.
Most people will let you know ahead of time that they're
Okay.
gonna come. Every once in a while, they don't. It just depends. Normally, they talk to somebody in the commission, like Parks, will use Parks Committee.
Gotcha.
Every time somebody wants to bring up community garden, they contact Karen and say, hey, we want to talk about community gardening. She's like, okay, come to the Parks meeting.
Yeah,
You
okay,
know, there's
gotcha.
usually, they'll contact the chair often,
Okay,
or vice chair, or me, and we'll say, okay, come to the meeting. But the other meetings typically have, Parks has like 5 or 6 set agenda items that they're constantly updating, working on. Some months they have no updates.
right,
You
okay,
know, and if there's absolutely nothing, we can say, hey, we're gonna cancel this month's meeting.
okay,
But if you guys, you know, if you might be going this direction with art, but nothing else is happening here, but you still want to keep that going, so.
okay, I
Yeah.
get it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then so then I think we do need everybody here to sort of break down all the things that are kind of on the table now and set a priority, and like we need to vote on that. Like,
Did you get a chance to take a look at what I sent out when I prepared?
oh, when did you send it?
It's in your packet.
Oh, shoot. Oh, crumb, did I not get to it?
Yeah,
Oh,
because
crumb.
I just had listened to what everybody had been saying, and I
Same.
just
Want
said,
me to grab your packet?
Yes, well, I think I got my packet. I maybe didn't go there.
That's where I was.
Here's an extra.
Oh, look at you.
yeah, so I just put that in there just to, as a, you know, from everything that I heard, I thought, let's get this together and use it as a basis to kind of get started on the conversation. So,
See, I,
So it actually starts the page before that. So this is from Tom.
yeah, so I'll just walk through
I
what
thought
this
that was
is.
part of,
Yeah.
Okay,
So the
gotcha.
first part of this, and it's in color because I think better in color.
Yeah, that's
So-
fine.
So that's okay. So the green on here is essentially what we do right now.
Oh,
That's just,
okay.
that's just what we're doing now. So that's stayed there. So then the blue is where the new stuff comes in. So it says, make policy recommendations concerning arts and tourism to the council. And then you can see the subtitles underneath that. It looks like we got the current stuff sort of stuck in the middle here, which is fine. And then administer tourism and arts policy assigned by the city council. So, if they have another proposal that I've got here that I'll hand out to you is the potential arts purchase policy
Mhm.
statement.
Right, that
So
was
if they were to adopt that, then they might assign us, I would assume they would assign us to oversee that and administer it and that
Okay.
sort of thing. So that's what this is all about.
okay,
Serve as advisors to the city council. So just any issues that come up, we're sort of the advisors on that. And then serve as the public face. So, people can come to us and that sort of thing. So that's kind of what I heard from the other conversations. And this is just intended as a draft to put out there and get a conversation started, with
Great.
some organization around the conversation. So,
And I apologize, when I built the PDF, I stuck the code in between your two pages, so
yeah, I saw
sorry
that.
about that, I totally missed that. So yeah, these are the recommendations, and they're high up.
okay.
And that's what Bruce was saying, because if you get down in the nitty gritty, you're stuck.
No,
to just-
I read it. No, I get it. So then I guess one of the things they've asked for is, because we're not gonna be able to do it all, is to come to them with an idea of here are the things that we're thinking of right now, and we would say these 1, 2, 3, or whatever things are in order of priority.
Actually, right now, you don't have the authority to even present a list of priority. So this is giving you guys the authority to do.
To
the
actually
next
do that.
step.
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha. All
Because
right,
this is where, the code doesn't let you do this yet.
gotcha.
Even
Okay.
though you always have other duties as assigned, basically, but they actually said, let's have the code match what it is you guys want to do.
Yep.
Oversight of tourism, of arts, of this, of that. And then we change the code, and then council's gonna say, go for it. And then you guys are gonna be like, okay, on the tourism, we want to do this, on the arts, we want to do that. And then you can start making recommendations to them as often as
get
you
it.
want. Yep.
Okay, and so if that's what this does, if this is correct and we can change the ordinance to say this, to me, what Thomas said here makes sense to me.
Yeah,
Because it covers the areas of things you guys
Yes.
want to have oversight or make recommendations.
And
on.
has Bruce seen this and he's like, yeah, that makes sense?
No, because, well, I don't know, he may have read the
Oh,
packet,
okay.
he may not have, but before we even go that far, once you guys have something that we like, the language, we'll send it to Ashley. She may make a few tweaks or not, because
Gotcha.
she's gonna be the one that, and her and Bruce will talk and kind of make sure everyone's good. And then it will go to a council work session,
Okay,
and then that's when you guys say, okay, these are the changes we'd like to see in the ordinance. This gives us the authority to do these items. And they can make changes to it or not. They adopt the ordinance. 30 days later, you guys have the ability to.
got it. Okay.
Yeah, and in the meantime, as soon as they say, yeah, we're gonna go forward with that, we can start scheduling meetings. You guys can start making your list. We can also be somewhat flexible of the meetings.
Yeah,
Most committees have fairly set meetings because
Right.
that way people know when they can go.
Yeah.
And if nighttime works better, we can look at night, like, it's up to you guys.
Right. Okay.
We would like to stick somewhat consistently,
right.
but this is committees always met at certain times of whatever works best for the committee.
I know. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Okay.
I'm
All
not.
right, that helps. And these make sense to me. I definitely like to have Greg see it before we would move ahead. And so you'd send this to Ashley if we all agree on this.
Yes.
Okay.
We can make any changes today, tweaks, anything,
Okay.
and then Ashley will help
Yeah,
us.
because when I wrote this up, it wasn't with the intention that this was the final document.
Yeah.
This is just a draft so I don't know, if like like I say, the first one, the green is just verbatim.
Yeah,
So
that's already there.
that's already there. So I assume we want to continue doing what we've always been doing.
Yeah.
yeah,
And just add to it. Okay.
yeah.
So then the next one, I'm assuming we're okay making policy recommendations. I don't know if
All we're
A and
doing
B
is,
is enough, or we need, is there
Yeah, I
a
don't-
C or D or?
Right.
And
Okay.
again, wasn't trying to put this in legalese language.
Yeah.
I'll let Ashley
that's
do that.
Ashley's job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the things that is really good with Ashley too is, okay, so changing an ordinance is not easy. It's not hard, but you have to have a work session. You have to read the language, you have to read it twice by title, it has to be posted for 7 days, and then it doesn't go into effect for 30 days. But if your ordinance says you're gonna make a policy, you can actually then create a policy that's adopted by a resolution, and resolutions are far easier to change. So you guys can actually come up with a formal policy for TAC that's adopted by a resolution. And if you want to change it in the future, it's just a simple resolution that becomes effective immediately that council approves. So that way you're not, it's not as big, you guys can set a policy because you don't want to implement something and then see it just not, get changed.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can do this policy, it can be a standard policy that any new members are now following. Like there's options here.
Okay. Well, we might get some pushback because Gary's still talking about having a destination development team.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this would, if he, even that will fly with him. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. Well, he was talking budget stuff, he's talking the money is what he was concerned about.
Yeah.
And so again, because I'm not part of that whole thing, I don't understand. Why does it matter? I just don't understand why it matters, because he kept talking about the money part of it, and that's why we need a destination development, so then that money will go over here and do that thing. It's like, why does it matter where the money is? I mean, it matters, our money matters because it has to be
Right.
tourism based, but I just don't understand why he's still thinking, oh, we need a destination development thing. So,
Is that in correlation with the visitor center stuff? I guess that's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking,
well,
like,
and then the problem is, well, it was because he was doing that, he was saying that during the chamber thing.
Yeah.
That's why I chimed in and said, hey, well, he was also talking
I
about there's
missed
way
that
too much
part.
money.
So
And
there's a
that's when I
packet
raised
here,
my hand
packet.
and brought up the accessibility thing, because it's
Mhm.
like, okay, so what you don't see coming down the pike is, it's quite likely that the tech committee will come to you and say, accessibility is gonna be a big,
Yeah. so we were
push.
talking about this.
chamber can't do it by itself, city can't do it by itself. So you guys, we're gonna have to partner, and it's not gonna be inexpensive. I raised my hand to say that, and then Lisa was like, this is the first I've ever heard of it. Yeah, accessibility is brand new. And so I don't know what she was talking about. But anyway, but that's when he was talking about buckets of money.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wanting to have another bucket and then it be overseen by another committee. And it's just like, oh my God, we're back here again. I just don't understand how he's thinking about it. But so I don't know if he'd even approve this.
Well, and this one, the way it reads now, I don't see how it touches any of the chamber money.
Okay.
It does, because this
Well,
is,
yeah, I agree. And
So-
this doesn't affect the chamber
this
stuff.
doesn't affect the chamber stuff. Now, if you guys did want to have any oversight of the chamber, of the other tourism dollars that are coming into the city, that would have to be written into this. And that was something that has been talked about in the past, but I don't know if it's something you guys are still interested in. I mean, this was
What do you
very
think?
much tourism. This is very much the money that's coming into the TAC
Yeah.
related
Yeah.
and arts.
So did you watch the meeting? The last Tuesday, by any chance? Okay. So we had our TAC thing and they were fine. I didn't really get any pushback from any of that. They seemed fine with that. And then the chamber was up next and of course,
Yeah.
And you're not, we have this big pile of money and you aren't spending. Gary's like, oh, you never spent more than $420,000. Why is all this money in reserve and what are we gonna do with it? And so that's when I stood up and said the thing about, we may be coming to you and saying accessibility is gonna be the top priority and ain't gonna be cheap and neither one can do it by itself.
Yeah.
City can't do it by itself. Chamber's you guys are gonna have to partner to do it and it's gonna be expensive. So, anyway, that's neither here nor there other than doing this, which I guess I really didn't do the midterms, did I? I'm running the meeting because she's not.
Sorry,
feeling well.
I
Sorry.
scratched my cornea.
So
So
did
I'm
you
gonna
tell
follow-
him?
I
what you-
apologize for being late. I had a little drama this morning
Oh,
and it knocked me all cattywampus.
oh, no problem.
All little kid wants today, so you're good.
Caddy
We
wampus
we
crew.
weren't even in here with the audio going until like 10 after, so
Yeah.
you're-
No,
yeah,
you're good.
So Tom was suggesting the stuff down there in the purple and
Purple, and then it goes to the next page.
Can you go to the last page? I
We'll go to the last page, there's,
Insert
Oh.
the document.
that's what you did. I see.
Yeah.
yeah. So there's where the other items are.
I mean, to me, this all makes sense. If we're in agreement, or if we are in agreement, and I don't know what Drea and Jackie think, but I'm okay with sending this to Ashley to either do the ordinance or the resolution, whatever you guys think is best.
So my only thing, the only one that I'm not a big fan of is the create and supervise ad hoc committees, because that really ends up just being your guys' thing. And ad hoc committees get into some gray areas, because when you have an ad hoc committee, it's not a city sanctioned committee, but then you end up with these public records rules and some other things. That's why when we do these planning changes, you see that they're always citizen groups.
Okay,
They're
I'm fine with that.
not,
That makes sense.
yeah, so, but if you're taking in information from other people, and, because people can come to you and say, these are my recommendations, so that would be the only questionable thing for me, would be the ad hoc section.
That makes sense.
Yes,
So-
we're. I wrote this, I should, oh, there it is.
Yeah,
ad
it's
hoc.
at the
Okay. I said, where is it? So are you suggesting that ad hoc just gets changed to citizen committees?
No, I'm suggesting actually taking the whole thing.
Taking the whole thing
Oh.
out.
Because you're gonna have a standard meeting, so people can come bring information to you anyways.
So we should just do it.
You would be the ones doing it.
We would be
anyways.
the
You're
ones
gonna be the
doing it.
ones getting information from people.
I've forgotten about all that public records stuff. It's just a mess.
And that's where we used to do this, remember, we used to do this a lot more, those ad hoc committees, and then we realized that we were breaking a lot of different rules,
Yeah.
because while they're not city sanctioned, they're still public record, and you still have to advertise, it's just,
Advertise the meetings and then they have to be official and yeah,
yeah.
I'm fine with that. Then what we would do is we would have our meetings and that we would be the ones overseeing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna be the ones overseeing them, and people can bring recommendations to you, you guys are gonna be recommendations to the commission.
Okay, so let me bring up a thing and see if so let's say we decide we really need the public signs, the welcome signs, and city says, okay, we'll take your money and Public Works is gonna do it, or I don't know, what, Public Works is gonna do the sign. It's not probably how it's gonna happen. Public Works will do the sign. Does this mean that Public Works has to come to our meeting and tell us how it's going?
It depends on how you do it, I mean, you guys would probably want updates. It would be something that you either have to do a budget transfer to make sure, I mean, that money would stay with your group. It's not gonna be straightforward like that.
Right,
Because
right.
first of all, it's the time, it's the commitment, the signs are kind of a cluster, because once, how the
I know.
legality of all of it.
Yeah, yeah.
That would become like a line item on your meeting. You would say, okay, update on the signs. Karen would probably shoot an email or give me information to put in the packet of what the update is.
Gotcha.
And so that for a long time, you probably won't have an update, because
Yeah,
it's gonna be a lot of paperwork, but then that would just become like a agenda item for you guys.
Okay,
Because
all
that's
right.
something you're oversight of. The mobility maps, let's say, hey, when you come to a recommendation to council, you're gonna say, we wanna do this, and here's how we see it happening. So
Right.
it's not gonna just be, we wanna do Moby Mats. It's gonna be, hey, we wanna do Moby Mats. There's several companies that do this. You kind of put a package together. We think this is a rough estimate. You kind of do the legwork, tell them, and they're gonna be like, wow, you guys did great. This is awesome. Let's see if we can, they're gonna like these ideas, but we have to still find somebody within the city staff to do it.
Right.
And that's where we tend to run into some issues is,
Well, I know because we already have Moby Mats, FYI, and we need to find a place to store them and all that kind of stuff and where to put them. Well, they can only go one place right now. And so I am aware of that, yes, because we're still struggling with what do we do with them?
right, but this could be something where when you present to council, you're like,
Yeah.
hey, here's a proposal, the Moby Mats. We've talked to the chamber has said we can do this, and then they would sign them out at
Yep.
you can come with a full package.
Yep.
Of how this would kind of play out, not getting into the nitty gritty,
Right.
but having a framework for it.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna be like, wow, this is great, and see that it is something very doable.
Yep.
Without adding an extra amount on staff. Because most of the stuff will hit Public Works.
I know it,
Yeah.
especially the accessibility stuff. Well, Public Works for public art will also affect Public Works. So you're right, it's gonna affect Public Works.
Yeah. And
Okay, so you're suggesting we take that one off and it's really on us.
Then do we need to submit like a statement about meetings?
Well,
Or
so
no?
our other commissions, let me pull these up real quick, just so I can have them in front of me. Because I think.
So one of the changes would be we would have some sort of a regular meeting where citizen ideas can come and or we keep track of these things, which is unusual because we've always just met when we needed to.
Yeah.
So that's one change that would have to happen. So this committee will take a little bit more time. Just filling you in on the stuff we talked about.
Like, we can make this every 2 months, every 3 months at the beginning. There's a lot of ways we can, okay, where do I need to be? Where is the municipal code?
Unlike any every 3 month part.
Yeah,
Quarterly.
Yeah, quarterly
Yeah.
meetings, yeah.
okay, so if we go into administration and personnel, and then public contracting, design review board, planning commission, let me do like parks or public works, those are good ones to. So public
We're
works.
really
committee.
cool in here. What was I thinking? Yeah.
Okay, so actually, this is what their language says, which is great. The committee shall meet at such time and places as may be fixed by the committee, and provisions shall be made for recording the proceeding of the committee. So it's actually not in your ordinance when you meet. So it would
Okay.
just be, and so let me see what the current language.
The ordinance just says we're gonna meet.
We're gonna meet.
Yeah, so we can
And it will
leave
be a
it.
public
Leave it
meeting,
as
and
is.
you'll put it in the post office, so if somebody wants to come and give us an idea, they know when we're meeting.
So we don't have to actually change that. Yep, we would just, what happens is on the city website right now, when we go and look at these different committees, let me go into the committee section. So if we go.
Does that replace my other post office posting?
And you said even if we knew that we didn't have any inkling that someone was going to come, we could cancel,
Okay.
even if it's public.
Yep, so what we
Okay.
do, somewhere in here, there's a spot, and I just don't, I'm still figuring out where everything is. Like it'll say, Public Works Committee meets the third Tuesday of every month.
Okay,
We would just put on the website, TAC meets the third whatever every month. But then if we cancel a meeting, what we do is 7 days before the meeting, we put an agenda out that says canceled.
gotcha.
So that way, everyone's used to seeing an agenda. And if there's nothing on it, we just make a big announcement that it's canceled.
Canceled through.
Yep. And so that way people know, okay, oh, this month's meeting is canceled.
Okay,
Yeah, we do the same thing, planning commission, not so much planning commission, but every once in a while, design review board has no items,
okay,
and so they cancel.
but it has to be a week ahead.
So we notify everyone a week ahead.
Okay,
Packets go out a week in advance, and agendas get posted a week in advance. State law is written that you have to advertise a meeting with enough time for people to attend.
Yeah.
So we try to do the 7 days.
okay,
Sometimes you'll notice I'll do 5 because you get sidetracked on things, but we try to do 7 days.
okay,
So if we did do one at the beginning, you guys can meet every other month for a little bit. And then increase it to monthly or once a quarter. It's just, it's gonna take a few months to get through all
Yeah.
of this process anyways. And I can't remember when our other scheduled meetings for TAC was. I'll have to pull those up. Some of these can piggyback on other meetings.
That's what I
Some
was-
get-
yeah. I have August 26th, and that's all I have down
Yeah, I don't think we have.
after
any
today.
lots. Oh yeah, so we're gonna do the August 26th, that's the next one. Oh yeah, so that's when we're reviewing final evals and discuss your goals, guidelines, suggestions, concerns, basically a wrap up from the previous year. You can also talk about other things on that one, and then even that meeting, if everything's gone through council, well, thinking about my time. This would probably go to the August work session, and then we go to an ordinance for council in September. But we can schedule meetings after that, or we can have dates set.
So,
Well, I'm okay with your suggestion of
Yeah.
taking that one out and sending that to Ashley. I don't know but if everybody else feels the same.
I just
No.
want to,
Okay, I just-
I won't be at the August meeting because I'll be in Europe.
Boo-hoo.
Damn
it. You wanna be in
Don't
Europe.
feel too bad.
Internet in Europe?
Oh, yeah.
Nope, doesn't work.
Oh,
So I guess the big thing too is there any concern about this commission only being in charge of that one fund that's dedicated to them? Do you want to oversight anything else or the elementary school? Do you want to make recommendations to broaden things, or do you want to stick with where this direction is going?
You've talked about that before.
Well, I mean, that's, the things we've talked about in the past was as that evolves with other funding sources that are limited by the 70-30 thing. Instead of having 5 different committees dealing with that, it would make sense to have one.
Right.
I'm not proposing that, let's go be in charge of that bucket of money necessarily. But, for example, the meeting that, I've been to many of them that you described from last Tuesday. You know, a lot of times it seems like the chamber will come in and say, this is all the things we're doing in terms of the tourism promotion fund, which is tourism.
Mhm.
And, you know, we kind of have more, I mean, councils change over time, like Gary's obviously very involved in that
Mhm.
topic. But in past years, I've not been involved at all and actually missed years to have the kind of the update.
Yeah.
And that was the time frame when this committee kind of said, hey, we already do that. Why don't we, you know, be the eyes and the ears for the council for that fund? So if, you know, the chamber, whoever is being contracted to do that, has issues or is spending, you know, however the money flows, they would consult and report back to this committee because it deals with tourism. That was kind of the idea, I think, that we were throwing around.
Right, so do you want the chamber to present to us about their marketing and tourism efforts, and then we report to the city?
I mean, that's kind of how we talked about it at that one point in time,
No.
but that does, you know, does that make sense? I don't know. You know, because the councils change over time. At the time we were talking about it, the council at that time really didn't know what the chamber did. And it was always, you know, and they're definitely now have much more involvement in what that is. I just say that because at the time we kind of were talking about that direction was it is a lot of tourism related money.
Mhm.
And, you know, why they have surplus now, should that all be marketing? If like in that example of the Moby Mats, if it's, you know, if they have X amount of dollars that could be put towards that and the TAC committee does, why not fund it out of both
Right,
things? Because it's a big enough project.
yeah,
Or I would see a case where, like we were just saying, Public Works would have to get involved in one, but what if the TAC committee and the chamber as a destination marketing band of the city, we're like, well, we'll just go out and get a contractor to put in the Moby Mat and build a thing that where we can store them and so forth.
Right.
And here's the proposal and all that. So it's not, we have the funds to do that.
Right.
It's not burning city cycles or
right,
things like that. And it gets done, and, you know, not hiring more employees or anything like
Right.
that, and the project gets done. And I mean, not speaking of school, but we've definitely like brainstormed at times before, like, oh, if we built this storage unit over on the city chamber land, where we could have the wheelchairs there at one point in time, that came
Yeah,
up
yeah.
and stuff. So those kinds of things.
So I'm wondering if we could add in, obviously using the word CMO.
Yeah.
If you add that in where it says present ideas and recommendations on tourism and arts related ideas that will enhance blah, blah, blah. If you said DMO, comma, tourism and arts related. So that gives you a little bit of a tie to it
Mhm.
without specifically, you're making recommendations on it.
right.
Yeah.
So, and I'm
Well,
trying to,
especially if, I'm trying to picture it coming ahead, if it's accessibility, we would for sure be talking to Jim and we would be talking to the city. So that is definitely, there's just no way to do it without having everybody on board. And so maybe that makes sense. I'm trying not to also add more to Jim's plate.
Yeah,
Like, do you need to present here and then you need to present to them? In the old days, you're right, it didn't matter because there was nobody on the council that understood marketing or they didn't really care.
yeah, and that will change over time, you know?
Yeah, so Gary goes off and suddenly no one cares again because there isn't anybody there who understands it.
Yeah.
So, but he's there now and he understands it and it's mostly just him and Jim going back.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah,
And I don't know if this is actually how it will unfold, but I envision that once the Niku's school project gets going and we talk about having events there and there'll be staff doing that kind of stuff and promoting it and stuff, that's all tourism related.
yeah, it is.
So I'm not saying that TAC has to go, you know, put their hands all over that bucket of money of funding, but there is going to be some collaboration between I would think there would need to be some collaboration
Yeah.
between all those. Otherwise you have, you know, 3 committees all kind of doing similar things
Yeah.
and with the same end goal. And it gets,
It's
to me, it
kind of-
seems like,
Kind of dumb, yeah,
yeah.
kind of dumb.
So we could, I mean, we can make a lot of suggestions and council's choice. We can add in DMO and a blanket TRT.
Oh,
Because you're making recommendations, TRT is transient room tax.
Okay.
that's the 70-10, I was
Okay.
70-30 thing, yeah.
Yeah, so there's, because right now, mind you, I'm pretty sure our budget's gonna change the way it looks next year. We're having a new finance director, because right now we have your tourism and arts fund, transient room tax fund, 1%, transient room tax 1.5. Now, mind you, some of these are dedicated, like the
Yeah.
1.5 was the new one, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Clatsop County TRT fund. So Clatsop County TRT fund is the one that's funding the debt service for the elementary school.
Right.
So if you added DMO and TRT funds, that gives you a little bit of recommendation ability. And they may say, no, I don't like this idea, but I'm
Yeah.
just trying to
I mean,
run
that was,
without.
that was the original
That
idea,
was
was
kind of the
like,
intent.
you've got all this money and you have this committee. Why aren't you letting us? And it's, again, it's just recommendation. We're not God saying you have to do this. It's like, we're recommending to you, here's your big pot of money that's all marketing and tourism oriented. Why aren't we able to suggest what should happen to all of it?
Yeah, and if you put
Still
that,
not sure they'll go for it, but
No,
I
but
still
it-
don't know.
Whether it's us or somebody else, I think there should, and maybe someone would say it's the council that is it, but someone should have the big picture
Big picture. Yeah,
of those, all those, I always say the three different buckets or
Yeah.
three spigots
yeah,
of money in how it relates to the limitations of the tourism 70-30
Yeah.
thing like that. You know, if that's, the county portion is earmarked for the debt services on that, well, that's what it's there
Yeah.
for. But if you get things like some of the projects that come out of tax, so the sign project
Yeah.
and the things that we talk about more infrastructure related, which we don't have a lot of them in the pipeline, but there could be.
So I'm
it's an interesting.
trying to think of
idea.
this in the context of what I've already written here. And so would this would this be something like oversee or make recommendations concerning the,
so I actually like where you have served as a public face of tourism and arts in Cannon Beach.
right,
Present ideas and recommendations on DMO, TRT, tourism and arts related ideas.
Love that.
okay, wait a minute, all
Yeah.
right, say that again.
After recommendations, so on item B, present ideas and recommendations.
Right, so this would be item C, right?
No, I would just actually add it to the same sentence.
Oh, okay,
We could separate it out, but I just might as well make it all in one
Might
list.
as well make it on
And it would be, the abbreviations are DMO for
okay, well, so
destination.
present ideas and recommendations on tourism and arts related ideas,
Well, before tourism and arts, you can
Okay.
just add DMO
recommendations.
TLT.
on,
DMO.
Oh, how do we get or in there anyways? On
DMO,
DMO,
TRT,
whoops, DRT,
and
okay,
tourism and arts related ideas.
okay,
Because that really does fit into that
That
sentence,
does,
because it's ideas that will enhance the experience of Cannon Beach visitors.
And
Yeah.
it's overall, and it is nothing more than recommendations to council.
Right, and that's the great thing too, because you guys can make all the recommendations, it's up to them if they want to take it.
Yep.
I mean, go back to the Parks Committee years ago, and I can't remember what the topic was. It was either animals or something else, but the Parks Committee made recommendations and council's like, I want you to change your recommendations and come back with this. And so like, they went back and forth several times until they found a ground that
That worked.
worked for both parties.
Okay,
And it did take several,
sure. Iterations.
Yeah. but they, instead of just saying no or overriding it, they said, hey, I like this,
Mhm.
not too keen on this one. Can you come back and kind of change a little bit more? And then they found a spot.
Yeah, I think you
That
gotta
makes sense.
stake the flag and the flag
Yeah,
gets moved, I
Yeah,
guess.
They may not like it, and that's fine. They can tell us that.
Yeah, which is
Okay.
well, we can go with
responsive.
that because
But
the
we
answers
don't
come
know
with
right now.
recommendations, so we're coming with our
right.
recommendations.
Yeah.
So, let's give them a very complete shopping list and, you know,
I was bad. We were gonna ignore that and go to the midterms, and I went right over that, but I
Yep.
think.
No, this is good.
Yeah.
Given that, I think that's what we send to Ashley. Is everybody
Yep.
okay with that?
Okay with that?
Everybody okay up there, Jackie and Drea?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll
great.
shoot it over to Ashley. She probably will tweak a few little things here and there. And if she says, hey, I think you're barking up the wrong tree, I'll shoot you guys an email.
Okay.
Otherwise, what I'll plan is Ashley makes a few tweaks and then we can present it at the August work session. Let me check and see how busy that work session is. But we can present at the August work session and then hopefully they can do an ordinance at September unless they go back and we want to, you know, they may want to negotiate a little bit.
And what's the date on that? I'm sorry.
I am looking for it
Oh,
right
really?
now.
Okay.
I'm used to a full-size screen and so
Yeah, I
everything is
know.
like,
Mhm.
takes me 3 times as long when I'm on a laptop. Plus, my vision stinks. So, okay, agenda list. Okay, so August 13th.
Okay,
So I'm going to put a placeholder for staff board revision recommendations.
at council. And is that a 6 PM meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Genesis
Okay. I got that added to my calendar.
Okay,
2 hours before. Oh, no, I didn't want to edit that. 2 hours before. Okay, that's on the calendar.
and then when I advertise this, what I'll do on the council agenda would be, you know, proposed language revisions, blah, 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 with the Tourism and Arts Commission. So that way, if we have a forum, you guys can still legally talk.
Okay.
And so if, because I think 4 is a quorum for us, I'm not all 4 people, we don't always have 4, but if we
Right.
do, we're still not violating any rules because it's listed you guys as a commission on.
Oh, good. Okay,
Okay.
right. Okay, so given that, do we want to move to the midterms?
Yep, and nothing from Mark. I know
Mm.
emails have popped up, so. I mean, he did say text me is always better, but I'm like, I also left you 2 voicemails and 2 emails, so.
Jeez.
No, it looked like you did a pretty good effort
Yeah.
of trying to get in touch with us, I saw all that. And I think, well, you know, if he doesn't want to respond to that, he doesn't respond to that, that's, you know.
Yep.
Makes our job easy.
So that means, well, right now, unless he shows up, then nothing's going to Sea Turtles Forever.
Unless you guys want
Unless we
to,
want to do
unless you want
something.
to, it's completely up to you guys to make a recommendation. We can leave it as is. You guys, if he comes back 3 months down the road or 6 months down the road, you guys can always, you still have money in that fund.
Yeah. Okay,
You got plenty of money. You guys can make an additional recommendations to council.
Yeah, my recommendation is just leave it at 0 if he's, until he comes back to us.
Yeah. well, especially since what we're left with is the original idea, which was summer, and I think everybody on council, from what I could read on their faces, was like, no.
After the 4th of July, I definitely do not want to get another person in here in July. That's always the craziest.
That's the worst traffic I've seen in 30 years.
That's the worst
It was
traffic I've ever
backed
seen.
up. Past the 9th tentacle. South on Hemlock coming north. From when Hills Lane, which is where I jumped on, and Hills Lane was backed up already. I mean, not Hills Lane, but on into downtown.
Yeah.
And I was able to jump on and it's like, I can't even believe I'm seeing this. Like there's, like nobody's moving on Hemlock.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Did we do Venice? €5 to get into our city. Unless you're staying here and you have your hotel receipt, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, well, that's,
That's what Venice is doing, and after having
Wow.
been there, I understand why.
yeah.
We kind of have the same problem, only we're not with cars.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so then if we're jumping into midterms now, the first one, it looks like, thank you for letting me use this. I left it, I must have left it in my office. So the first one we have is, it's a midterm for, the, Academy Charts Association, yeah.
What are we looking for in here? I mean, I read through this thing and it looked to me like they're doing what they said they're gonna do and
Yeah.
have had some reasonable success with it.
The
So,
hard part is I mean, again, and we're getting away from the heads in beds question for, well, everybody. They have a real tough time justifying because what we're actually doing is their heads in beds are the artists that come to drop off their art.
right,
So it's not like people are necessarily coming to this show and staying overnight to see this show.
right.
So this has always felt to me more like a get lit situation, which is we feel like this is a good thing to fund, but I'm not sure it necessarily is, there's not a return on investment that's super high.
Yeah.
Other than the good feelings of we're supporting the local arts association. I don't know how you guys feel, but
Well, I mean, I think, yeah, it's kind of the DNA of this town, right?
yes, exactly.
And so we, and our ordinance to support that.
Yeah,
The heads in beds thing is so hard to quantify. And then the way it's written in the law is like people traveling. But we have people going from Vancouver, BC to San Francisco every day up and down the Wimbledon. And what happens is when they get here, they don't have a plan to stay here necessarily, but they're like, oh, that's a cute little town. I got an art gallery here. And then I had too many drinks at the Driftwood and
yeah, exactly.
and so we'll never be able to quantify it.
Yeah.
You know, but if they are saying that they had, 40 artists and this much foot traffic.
Yep.
Then you can account, some of those are that.
Yep.
The transient, that's what transient lodging tax is.
Yeah.
So I don't know if, by law, we have to actually prove it, but this shows to me that they're in our date range. They're providing something with that foot traffic and action to happen.
Yeah.
And some of that foot traffic and action is
Yeah.
staying here.
Yes,
Well, part of my understanding is that we're trying to enhance the experience of people who are
That's it.
here, and
That's
this
it.
certainly does that.
absolutely,
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
I call it the slow burn.
Yeah.
I mean, just kind of those underlying.
Yeah.
Not the quick pops, but
So having some of the dates and here's what we had and so forth, that's what I look for in this. It's like, okay, you were generating, people enjoying their experience.
Yep, absolutely. And this was their midterm. They still have a final to go.
That means they're all midterms.
Yeah, this was for March 8th, so, yeah, so they still have some stuff after that in the off season. This one seems fine to me. Yeah, art camp doesn't come into it because that's
mural
summer.
project looks really interesting.
The what does?
The mural project.
Yeah.
They got pictures of in here.
Bishop votes, okay. Anything on Canterbury Arts Association? Move ahead to the Chamber Event and Tourism video.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done this forever. I'm on the marketing committee with Sierra, who I think is doing an awesome job. She's also looking at not just throwing video at anything, but being very targeted about what we want them to do. And so I am really comfortable with, if they don't use it, the money will just come back to us. But they have the money there if something were to happen, like when COVID came up, they used part of this money to do a little video saying, well, you can come, but please be aware, they did that little video that they did.
Yeah, that was
So
well received.
it was very well received. So it's like, I think that's good that they have it. And if they don't, people keep acting like it's like, if they have the money and they're just gonna use it on whatever. And it's like, no, nobody's gonna use it on whatever. If they don't use it, it comes back.
There's a curiosity thing. Who was responsible for the signs during COVID of the puffins with the masks?
I don't know.
Okay, so, Buddy
Oh.
designed them, and I
Okay.
believe the city printed them.
I thought they were brilliant.
So
She
she-
was really great, so, yeah.
She was part of the chamber, but he
Yeah.
worked at the chamber at the time
Okay.
and was like assistant to Jim.
Yeah,
And very creative.
Yeah.
And came up with that one, the one with the elk 6 feet apart. and
Yep.
all
Yeah,
the-
the elk that had the masks.
Yep.
and all that, that was great.
And that was another example of, like, of course, it was COVID, so it was a curveball.
yeah,
But it was another example of like, the chamber had this money kind of in reserve and, okay, all of a sudden, we're not doing whatever event
Anything.
it was. So let's pivot and be that vocal arm for the city. And I think they did, I think they came out of that, with, kudos
Mhm.
from most people.
I agree.
So,
So I'm fine on the videos.
yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's a worthwhile
Yep.
investment.
And then we have the Fat Bike Festival, which at the time had not happened yet. I believe, well, they came in, he came and discussed it with us
Mhm.
already, so, this is probably less relevant. think the idea was to try and make it less weather dependent was one of the things I said. So I think the midterm is sort of we're kind of done with it now.
Mhm.
Okay, and then the next one is Coaster Theater. That's you. No, they're talking about their special events. Are these dates right? Did they have, I guess they did have Darcel. They're talking about doing Darcel again next year on their ask. I don't remember Curtis Delgado being in town in May. Does anybody remember that?
I can look and see what they're
I
asking.
go to that. In May? I don't remember
I
Curtis
I don't
Delgado.
remember
having been
either.
at that. I don't think that happened either. I wonder if that got canceled.
Well, it says they were planning, so it could have
Right,
gotten
because this was
canceled,
on
so,
3/14,
yeah.
but I don't remember. I think if Curtis Delgado would have been in town, we would have heard about it,
Mhm.
because I would have been at it too. So I'm not sure if that actually happened. I know that they had Darcel planned for next year and they had 2 open spots with, they didn't have an idea yet. Maybe they're moving him to next year. I don't know. Anybody have anything?
Way I'm reading that spreadsheet.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Not in
Yeah,
this little-
really.
not in this
Yeah.
little packet.
I'm just gonna open this up because they're done.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just realized like,
Does anybody have anything else on this? Feels kind of funny because we've already heard their.
I
suggestions for
know,
Next year,
yeah.
their midterm.
No, I'm good
Okay.
with it.
Moving on. Anybody online, Rail or Jackie, have anything on that? Oh, the fat bags in there. Whoops.
Yeah, the budget kind of got.
Moving on to Earth and Ocean for, Cannon Beach Gallery Group. That is. Earth and Ocean happened June 6th. What? Did that happen? Or is that when he dated this? I thought Earth and Ocean was in the fall.
he may have dated it. Oh, I bet you he dated it June 6th because I received it June 7th.
Oh, you did? Okay, so this is a thing that happens in the fall.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
September.
September 20th.
Okay, all right. Oh,
I think
there it
they moved that date. I think it used to be in the spring and then they moved it to September.
It's 22nd, I see it's coming up, so it hasn't happened yet. So there's not much to say about it unless somebody has.
No, I didn't see anything when I read through it. Just, it's coming together
It's
nicely.
coming together nicely,
I'm glad,
exactly.
Of course.
Terms are tough.
And what else are you going to say?
Yeah. Okay, then we'll move to the Stormy Weather Arts Festival, which is their final. And they have no way to, I didn't think they did anything to try and, did they figure anything? That brochure and social media, they don't think they did a passport or anything on this one. For stormy weather. We had good business, I know that. Anybody have anything on stormy weather?
Nope.
Okay, and then what's the next one? Get Lit. Which happened in April.
This one must put heads in bed. So, I mean, I know some people in Bellevue who came to Cannon Beach just for this. It was
Oh, yeah.
The only reason for coming here.
Yep.
So.
There are definitely, it's a small, very targeted group.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the challenges for Get Lit, although it looks like she actually will be able to have a date that, it'd be nice if they could pick a date and be able to stay with like the 3rd weekend in April.
Yeah.
It's after the spring breaks are over, and then people can actually put it on their calendars. They had a heck of a time for a long time where they couldn't get the Surf Sand Ballroom, and the Surf Sand, signed a contract and then backed out of it, and it's ugly. But it would be, if they could actually be able to do that third weekend in April or fourth weekend, and well, then it comes up against spring unveiling, so she probably would rather keep it to the third weekend in April. And then people can, it can grow hopefully that way if people know what the date is. And it
There's no
doesn't move
benefit
around all
from
the
the school
time.
being finished then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, her ability to scale has always been the topic.
Yeah.
There's only one place in town that she can have it, which was Sursand.
And now it's not even anybody with a local
What
interest.
about 12 on the Inn? They got,
Oh, that kitchen is not appropriate.
Hmm.
Trust me. Been in that kitchen. That's why she would benefit greatly from the school being open
Okay.
with a, commercial kitchen and not being beholden to a commercial variances.
And I think like the time that they've been bumped before is because of bigger bag, a wedding came along.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
More revenue.
More money.
Yeah,
More money came
and
in.
so, was it to no fault of their own? They had to jump dates.
Nothing on that?
Mhm.
Okay, moving ahead. Cannon Beach Cottage Tour. And this is for, this is, it says midterm. Is it midterm for next year or it's not their final?
This
This is always a weird one.
one, because theirs for last year, wouldn't it be this September?
It's coming up in 2 months, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
It's the date, it's the weird date.
got
one.
it, yeah, it's just the one that's always weird. That's right,
Yeah, September 13th through the 15th.
okay, so this is just moving ahead.
We can,
They kind of have this down by now. They've done a great job of making this from a 4-hour event to a 2.5-day event and keeping people in town a lot longer.
Mhm.
Not great that it's where it is in September, but
It is the edge of the shoulder season.
very much the edge.
Yeah.
September is, well, he'll tell you it's October 15th is the magic
Yeah.
date.
Yeah.
That's when the rates drop. All right, I think that's,
Okay.
anybody have anything on that?
Oops.
Then we have the comedy festival. It's come a long way from his $6,000 ask when Tom Miller said he'd give him $700 to get it going. He's grown a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, this thing has grown and they seem to, I don't know if they're actually bringing the people in or if the people who are already here are taking advantage of it, but when I've gone to every single one of them so far and they always ask, and hands start shooting up, and at least 50 to 60% of the audience appears to be from out of town.
Well, and it's interesting because we'll always go and then talk to the people who are around, where are you guys from? Where, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, from Portland. We love coming. And you can just tell by looking at the audience, this is not an audience that you normally see in Cannon Beach.
Right,
I love it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, this is a great addition.
Yes, I agree. And it's in our off season. Yay,
Yeah.
in March. I love it. Before spring break starts. Weather could be iffy, doesn't matter. It's inside.
It's inside.
Anything on this?
Looks
Yep.
good to me.
All right.
Okay, so just so you guys know, in the world of midterms,
Yes.
we received everybody's except for Gallery Group did
Yeah.
not submit a marketing and spring unveiling. So I sent them 2 additional emails afterwards, because that was one of the things we talked about in the past, was trying to get people to submit them on time
Yep.
and keep submitting.
Yep.
So I did have several late people this year, but I did eventually get them all, but those 2 for
Except those
Gallery
two,
Group,
So we don't have them for
those 2.
okay.
So I'm assuming we'll get finals from them, but I tried to hound them to follow those,
Good to know.
so.
Okay.
And then, the way the language is written in our application, their finals are due, after the event or at the 30 days after the end of the fiscal year, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start hounding people who haven't turned in their final. I think I have 3 of them already,
Okay.
people that are just on it to
Yeah.
get rid of them. And I'm gonna start hounding them for theirs.
Okay.
Cause the year end is
No.
June 30th, is
June
that right?
30th,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And also on our agenda, is there something else? We jumped, I moved.
Mark's
them,
not here?
so- Mark's not here.
And let me double check, see if any other emails popped up.
I just have something to the good of the order when we get
Okay.
there. If we're ready for that.
Julie, are you good to go to the order?
I am good. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm good. Go to the order.
Okay, so I think I had mentioned to you before about a policy, arts purchase policy statement. So I got together with Lila and Summer, yeah. And this is kind of what we came up with as an idea. And I don't know if we want to discuss it now or just, make everybody aware of it. And put it on an agenda for the next time, whatever.
Does public art assume it's outside? I was curious.
That's interesting.
I mean, it's a good question. I don't know. I don't think it has to be outside, but it has to be in probably a non-commercial public building.
So city
So
hall.
it could be city hall, it could be the school, yeah,
Okay.
something like that. I think, in fact, I think we definitely should include that. Maybe not so much for city hall, but for the school.
For sure,
Yeah.
but art in the city hall, especially in the lobby or whatever would be,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And I,
Yeah, we
there is art
did,
all
we did
over
that
here.
in, yeah, we did that in Bellevue and it was
Yeah.
really great. So in fact, if you walk into the city hall in Bellevue right now, the whole floor on the main level is one art piece.
I want to say, remember when we added the new art in here?
Yeah,
I think that came out of the Public Arts Fund.
okay.
So
And there is a public arts fund?
there's, back when we had the Public Arts Committee,
Yeah, yeah.
we've never taken it out, just
Okay.
in case we wanted to get it up and going again.
Okay.
So there is a Public Art Fund, and
And
I
then
want to
The
say
general fund?
it's out of the general fund,
Okay.
it's under community programs, and I think there's about 10 grand in it every year.
All right.
The only time we've used the money lately has been to refurbish like the bench
Yeah.
outside the restrooms.
Right.
You know, if we need to refurbish, I think they had to do something else with one of the other pieces once where we had to take it down, send it to them to fix
Yeah.
and come back. So that's been the only uses of it that I'm aware of.
Okay,
And by the way, Lila and I went on an art tour
yeah.
and it's worth doing. I mean, there's some stuff here that I didn't
Okay, cool stuff.
didn't know was here.
Yep.
And B, by the Pelican,
Pelican or,
No,
public
public,
post, yeah,
public.
the whales.
the whale bones there.
Mhm.
I saw all those things. I never knew what they were.
Yeah.
Well, as far as I know, is there a sign anywhere that says that's actual art?
Yep.
Is there?
It's
Like
very,
little flag.
very,
There is a little
very
plaque.
tiny
It's
little
okay.
plaque there, so that definitely needs some.
It's
better
one of my
signage. So,
favorites, but
No, but the idea makes sense. I get why.
I
they
love
did it,
I love the chickens on the corners.
Chicken and egg one?
I love that one.
The signage, like you see around the wetlands, and there's one at the end of Second Street to talk about Sacagawea and the Indians. And
Yeah.
Lewis Clark come down and all that. Is that, I mean, that's not art, but is that parks?
It's not considered art. So those are typically, what is the word that they call them?
Historical
Interpretive?
markers?
Interpretive.
Oh,
It's an
interpretive.
interpretive sign that has artwork on it.
Yeah.
So, like Sally Lacoste, I think, Lacoste.
Cat,
Sally did a bunch of those,
yeah.
but I don't think it's ever come out of the public art fund.
So like, I just know the one on Second Street's all faded and when it's been 8 or years or so, and like, I'm wondering where the money comes to redo those.
So I would say if it's on the artwork, it should come from the public art fund.
Yeah.
Because if we're fixing the sign for the art itself,
Yeah.
I think it should come from that
Yeah.
fund instead of,
Here we're getting this to Kathy and Brad.
yeah, I'll scan it and email it over to Jeff and Andrea.
Okay, so which means we probably shouldn't talk about it now because they can't see it.
Okay, gotcha.
Thank you.
So
But-
given what you
but it's
said
just-
about the ad hoc committees, then maybe this won't work.
Well, I think I take ad hoc. I put that word in here before I knew that it was not appropriate. We could make it a citizen committee or whatever.
Well, or it's you guys.
Or it's us, yeah.
I mean,
Or, well, we
that's-
could, I mean, if you see, I was thinking of engaging some other people. Maybe even some artists that aren't submitting or something like that. So that's why I put in here that it would consist of at least one TAC member for sure,
Mhm.
but no more than 3 with 5 people on it. So there could be 2 people who aren't TAC members was what I was thinking. And we can obviously change that. And also what I want to point out and hear that what, just so you're aware of my thinking. I very intentionally used the word preference several times. So that it, so we sit there and say we give preference to artists who are not currently showing in Cannon Beach. That doesn't mean we exclude them,
Right,
but, that they're not, all else being equal,
Yeah.
we'll go with the artist who is not showing.
gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's just to encourage, a little bit more outside.
And do you view this as being a program that is, we're buying a piece of art a year, or is this just as we,
As we do it, these are our guidelines for when it's decided that we want to purchase art. So
Okay,
this is
got
just, this is just intended as a policy statement.
Okay,
that
gotcha.
it can be adopted that says, if we're gonna buy public art, this is how we're gonna go about doing it.
okay,
So the one thing on this is we have to, there's a lot of the stuff that the committee's not gonna be able to do because of the procurement rules.
Okay.
And so a lot of the stuff staff's gonna need to do, but we can involve, you can have a committee that reviews proposals. So it'll be a little bit, those steps can still happen, but at the staff level, but then we would make you can invite, like when we do qualification-based anything, or in this situation, you'll give this your design, we usually have a commission of, or not a commission, but a group of people, a couple staff members from community members. We can have other people, you guys would be perfect because it is TAC, and that would be an art thing, and you can involve some of the non-committee members to be on that committee. Not the committee, but on the review panel. So it's not an actual ad hoc committee, it's a review panel
Okay.
okay,
through the procurement process. We did recently change our procurement rules, our policies, so it's a little bit less cumbersome than it used to be. But there's still a whole process that you have to go through to be.
is that like an RFP?
Yeah.
Okay.
Depending on the dollar amount, there's certain
Okay.
ways you have to do it.
Yeah.
So it's, a lot of times you'll do, like, you can do a call for artists. I've seen it where it's like, basically, we have X amount to spend and we want to see your proposals.
Gotcha,
You know, there's a
okay,
lot of different, it depends on how we do it, but we'll have to make sure we take into account the procurement policies.
okay, gotcha, and that's even if it's a TAC thing that we decide, there's a spot on, Hemlock and something that we decide we want to put art on. And we would do an RFP or a call for artists. We would still have to do that because we're a city committee, because
Yes,
it's a city procurement.
funds. It's because you're using
City funds, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So even your, the TLT, that's where some of the, go back to the, bandstand, the lights.
Yes, yes.
We didn't know how to do it. Well, and then the reason we don't have to do the same thing with the grants, they're grants, we don't have to go through the same process.
Gotcha,
But the Moby mats, when we go to get Moby mats, if it's above a certain amount, we have to get 3 quotes.
gotcha.
So no matter what, if it's using city money, we have to follow whatever procurement is for that dollar amount of things.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, again, this was just intended as to get us started on a
Right.
conversation.
Okay.
Yeah,
Start.
no, great.
So we can discuss this at the next meeting when they have a copy
Yeah,
as well.
That would
We can
make
go
more
from
sense.
there.
I wouldn't
Okay,
spend a lot of time on that, but I just thought it.
thank you for doing that, Tom.
Yeah,
It's nice.
thank you.
And this ties in really well with the changes, the recommended changes. You know,
Yeah.
you're already ahead.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, anything else for
Perfect.
good of the order? Okay. Yeehaw. No need to
Okay.
report anymore. Bye, you guys.
Guys, we finished before
We
noon.
made it before noon.
Yay.
Okay.
All right, thanks all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have to, somebody has to show up. You'll show up in August. I'll try to be at that meeting
I'll try to be
too.
there